Good afternoon and welcome back to the Stars Championship Series. It's the final day. It all gets decided here. I'm joined here with Kyle Cuthbertson and Caleb Vieska. Tell me, guys, how are you feeling?
Well, good morning. I was about to say good morning, good afternoon to those of you here in the paddock, to those of you here joining us as well. I'm feeling good. I'm very excited. Honestly, we had a good night. I must say a little tired, but we get to sleep in a little bit, which is kind of weird on, on a race weekend, if you will. But no, it's really exciting. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to race under the lights tonight.
Yeah, same for me. It's a little weird waking up a little later, and we're up a little later, but it's a little odd. But night racing's cool. It's a night fight, and we're certainly going to see a fight tonight.
Yeah, guys, I woke up this morning, and I'll be honest, I fully jumped out of bed because I saw that it hit 9 o'clock, and I was like, oh goodness, I'm late. You guys are going to be so mad. But as we watch the Swift Stars out on track, let's watch some clips from them about this season. I want to start off talking about Mr. Lennox Lockhart and what happened to him yesterday. Let's see it.
Yeah, the incident yesterday was one of the tougher ones that we saw throughout the day, right? Lennox, whenever you talk about it, had top 4 pace, and sadly that's kind of one of the deciding factors of the weekend, right, of why he's kind of isn't going to find himself. So this is Swift Stars. He's in the Micro Swift class, so we'll look at that later on in the day. But again, he was one of the drivers that we talked about in this class specifically, or in Swift Stars. Again, yesterday they delivered, I think, one of the best races that we saw last night. And here's that flashback for you guys as well. So this is the 2024 season recap of what we saw last year. And again, Jaden Francisco was in this battle. Enzo Jr, like you saw there as well, was in it. But again, all year long, when you talk about Jaden Francisco and moving up, this is throughout the year. This is this year, at the start of the year, at the Queen City Gambit, where he was able to get a good couple of results. And again, started off the year at an all-time high, right? Getting that first race win of the year and coming back, entering again at the King of the Castle. It's been 2 weekends back-to-back in a row where he's able to, have good results like that. Maxwell Macha has kept him honest here this weekend, Kyle.
Yeah, Maxwell Macha has kept him honest, and it's been really close. I mean, we say it every weekend, I feel like, when we come to the national races, that the Swift, both classes, the Mini and the Micro Swifts, is the closest racing that you'll see out of the youngest drivers. And I mean, yeah, Jaden Francisco has been on a roll this season, but once again, it's going to be a tight championship battle.
Yeah, for sure. Holden Myers, another driver to look out for, local to North Carolina. He comes into the weekend third with drops, 49 points back, his drop being 288 points. So, again, a lot of factors in this weekend. Francisco wasn't able to get those wins yesterday. Maxwell got it. Haley, you talked to him a little bit, and he was kind of telling you about, pass or be pass out here this weekend. So, and there you have a little bit of a look at what we saw at Quaker City, where Maxwell Macha, again, ultimately, at the end, we've talked about keeping drivers honest, right? Maxwell's done that this weekend, where he's been able to get those heat race victories today, or I should say this weekend, and then you look back at what we saw out of him at Quaker City, where he was having to work his way through the field. It wasn't as easy, right? He got put off the racetrack, and then you had Holden Myers, Jaden Francisco. They went back and forth throughout the race and ultimately gave Macha that outside chance to get there, to claw back at that gap, to finally make that move on Holden Myers. And what's been hard work for Maxwell to get to that top step of the podium, that finally came his way at Quaker City. And then again, you look at the run that he's been on. Miami Grand National Championship, he's able to win on that Paralympic machine. And then you turn around this weekend, he's up at the front, running up at the front, being one of the drivers that's leading races, winning races now, where it's been almost 2 weekends in a row where he's been up at the front, fighting for race wins. So Maxwell, to me, is one of the guys to look out for. And like we said, right, coming into the weekend, he has that upper hand just a little bit on Jaden. And we're going to see how it plays out later on tonight in the main event.
Yeah, we see these kids, and they're still young. They're a bit unexperienced, but they're getting there. They're learning. What do you guys think about them coming into this? This is possibly their first run at a championship. What do you guys think that these kids are coming into these weekends?
Well, I think this weekend, it's our last regular season championship weekend of the year. So, these kids have been in the same kind of position 2 or 3 times already this season. So I think that actually adds something. It makes it a little bit more interesting. Like, you see drivers who haven't won a championship in any of the other series this year have a second chance or a third chance, and they can take that experience and put it into this weekend. I think one of the notable things, Maxwell Macha might be behind in points, but like what we saw in Quaker City in those highlights is kind of that do or die attitude, that never give up. And so he might be behind, but I think he's got that experience to kind of claw his way back this weekend once we get to the final.
Yeah, and again, a lot of these drivers, they when you talk about experience, they are, Super Nationals champions in the Micro Swift class. Jaden Francisco has fought for a championship at the SCUSA Pro Tour, at the United States Pro Kart Series. If he didn't get one, I'd have to check myself on that. I believe he was able to clinch the Mini Swift championship. But even then, he comes into this weekend, right, fighting for another one. And it's the same names, right? Same drivers where week in, week out, they find themselves fighting up at the front. So at the last one, if you haven't gotten one yet, you're going to want to get one badly here this weekend. And again, that goes forward on that road to Vegas like we talked about. So the experience has been gaining, and leading up to that point, if anything, I think we're going to see stuff that they've learned throughout the year. They're going to apply that this weekend.
Yeah, these are these kids' last shot at a regular season championship before we headed over to Vegas for the Super Nationals. What are you guys feeling in the paddock this weekend? Is there any sort of a buzz that maybe we haven't seen at past championship deciding weekends?
Kyle?
You can feel the tension. There's definitely, I think Adrian Renadon said it in his interview right off the bat, I think it might have been Thursday, that there was a bit of tension, at least.
Well, you asked him last night as well, right? Was a question, I don't want to call it the forbidden question, but the question where you never really get an answer to.
Yeah.
The PR answer is, you know what, I am not looking at the championship, I'm not here to win a race, but, very well. They're out there in the tent, looking at the points, looking at scenarios, because they come up here and ask us, right? Doing the calculations themselves, doing the math as they can. So, yeah, they're going to be looking for a championship, even if it's a Stars championship, right? Or whatever it is. There's high level here for drivers that are competitive, that want to win a race, and they're here to win, right? That's one of the points that I made yesterday. They're here to win races, and yeah, there is a big buzz. I think night racing does that, tends to do that, whether there's a championship on the line or not.
It's called the night fight for a reason. Everyone is just itching. I think there's a little bit of just pressure as well. Like, this is the last time everyone's going to be racing each other really until the Super Nationals. Like, this is your last shot for 2 months before 2020. There's one race that's not for 2 months, and then you have to go back at it in 2026. So you want to kind of end on a high note. You want to have that momentum going into, the winter events and then next season.
Yeah, a championship deciding day, in my opinion, I will say we see a little bit more action than we typically do at another race weekend that's not championship deciding. Do we think maybe that this time around it'll be a little bit more hectic, seeing as it's their last shot to kind of get that regular season championship before we head into Vegas to build up that momentum?
I think championship weekends are hectic, period. I will say Trackhouse, we haven't had it this year where, outside of Miami Grands, but we haven't had a championship deciding weekend at this very track, and this track breeds action. It gives us action with the amount of passing zones, the moves. You can get creative here, right? You can make moves and surprise some of us. We talk about Dalton, turn 6, right? Never seen that move happen. It happened. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened today. But again, I think this place breeds a lot of action, and with a championship on the line, like we have seen, for the past 2 days, we are going to see a little bit more as the weekend goes on. So yeah, I think Trackhouse is part of that, and we saw yesterday qualifying a mess, point blank on Thursday. Yesterday, the racing, there was incidents, there was red flags obviously out there, which we never want to see. But yeah, it was hectic. Sr. was, one of the most hectic displays that we've seen throughout the year. And again, I just saw comments roll in on YouTube as well. People were talking about the racecraft in it, and I think Trackhouse breeds that a little bit with the racecraft. And again, there's so much on the line this weekend, right? Your last shot to get a championship, and your last shot to get a number 1 plate.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of last-second moves. I agree completely with Caleb that this track kind of breeds incredible racing, last-minute moves in places you wouldn't expect. And when a championship's on the line, like we've seen it in other classes, you're going to have some help out there, and you're going to race guys a little bit harder because those points are on the line. And I think it does just make it a little bit more hectic.
Well, is there anywhere else that you guys would think that you would say, Kyle, is unexpected, that we might see some action in this weekend that we might typically not see as much of?
You're just going to see guys going for things that they wouldn't normally go for.
Turn 5 was a big one that I think we saw yesterday as well. There's a lot of places. Turn 5 to me was a really surprising one.
Yeah, I think so. Turn 7. That's the thing. I think every corner is a passing zone here. you're going to see, I think the thing you're going to see most is an over-under in the final corner. And I like yesterday in Jr, the race that I commentated in, Max Weiland going for a dive bomb into the hairpin, and then also being over-under from the other side. I mean, it's everywhere's a passing zone.
Well, it's been good talking to you guys on this Swift, but let's run a message from our sponsors.
You know, I'm really starting to like this go-karting thing.
Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh, can I show you this cute dress I just got?
Yes, of course. Oh my goodness, it's so cute.
I just love shopping.
I love shopping too.
Oh my god.
Wait, did you guys say you like shopping?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Well, dude, I have the perfect place to do that at. ShopPayCara.com. At ShopPayCara.com, you can get free shipping on orders $200 or more. You can get anything you want, like MXC rims, gloves, rib vests, shoes, anything that you need, all at ShopPayCara.com.
Who is he talking to?
No idea.
But we're gonna have to check it out. Sounds like a great deal.
Sure does.
Hi, I'm Jackson with Alpha Race Hub. Alpha is an all-in-one motorsports software solution that can solve all the software problems you need for your track, facility, or series. Alpha can cover all your software bases, from online registration, digital e-waivers, a proprietary timing and scoring software, incident management, automated points tabulation, tire and barcode scanning. We even have our own mobile timing app and rental kart activity management software. If you're looking to consolidate your motorsports software solutions, reach out to us at alphatiming.co.uk.
Paulie Massimino wins the Wisconsin Grand Prix! James Overbeck on start number 2 gets win number 1 in OKN Stars.
On track or off, Brandon Jarsekrak Racing delivers elite performance. Led by 4-time Pro National Champion Brandon Jarsekrak, our team masters driver coaching, data-driven analysis, and mechanical precision at every national event. Contact us today at BrandonJarsekrakRacing.com.
Welcome back. It's been a minute. Let's send it over to Xander for a little bit of a segment on these donuts here at the Stars Championship race.
And again, we're going to wait for that as well. But that is one of the characteristic things about the Stars Championship Series, where on, I guess, race weekend, race day, if you will, on the Saturday, they always are, or the Sunday, really, one of the only, Saturday races that we do have on the year. They do have that characteristic donuts thing, as our KZ Masters hit on the racetrack, our Super Masters out there as well now. And again, throughout the week, Jordan Musser has been one of the drivers to keep an eye on, right? He's been very fast. He's been very consistent, given he has had to work his way through the field multiple times. But today, he's starting in one of the better positions that we are going to see him. I believe he's starting on that front row, and he's going to have a bird's eye view on Scott Presti to try and challenge him a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Musser, just an absolute legend. I mean, you can't say more about Jordan. You see him running in a couple years back. You see him almost every year running in the KZ World Championships in the Masters division. He's going to be chasing Scott Presti. And I mean, you can't say enough about what Scott Presti's doing with the Presti Racing team. Obviously, Vincenzo Saracino racing for them in the pro class, stood on the podium at Quaker City. I mean, they're just doing so much with that organization on the Croc Promotions chassis.
Yeah, but honestly, Vincenzo, to touch a little bit on him, and the last 2 years that he's had, that later spell with Maranello, a lot of bad luck for Vincenzo after moving over from TB Kart, was still looking. I look back to 2023 as well, just could never get luck on his side, and that was the biggest thing, right? And then, moving over to the Croc Promotion team with Scott Presti, who's on the screen now, and, to me, something clicked there for Vincenzo, and that's really been, I think, for him to get back on the podium, it was almost like weight was taken off his shoulders right after so long, and you heard it there from him that weekend as well. There was almost so much weight taken off his shoulders, and I think this weekend he's had that top 10 pace. He's been in there or thereabout, so I'm really, when you talk about race day situations, just single situations, I'm excited to see what Vincenzo Saracino can do today.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget Vincenzo is a former champion of this series in 2022. I mean, I think we kind of expected a little bit more from the Maranello time, but like you said, a lot of bad luck, and I really do agree with you that something has clicked here on that Croc Promotions. It's very interesting. I mean, only Croc Promotions kart in the field, I believe, is that team, Presti Racing. It's so not a lot of I would say support around the paddock. They're kind of doing it on their own, which is pretty cool.
Scott Presley, I mean, he's a driver that was over at the World Championships last year with, I believe it was with Praga and IPK, because he was running over here on an RS kart last year. And again, he was a driver that we saw run up at the front, maybe second, maybe third. But this year, you know, on his own operation with Presti Racing, and you look at, you know, the change that he's had, where weekend he was a for sure podium finisher. But you come into the weekends now, and he's one of the favorites to win a race week in, week out. And that being said, you know, he's a driver to look out for. And as well, for those of you here in the paddock, something to look out for here this weekend and here on race day, some of the donuts presented by Duncan, presented by Stars. Xander?
Yeah, look out for these, because I think I might take a whole tray. These are amazing. This is Top That. This is one of the many food vendors that are here. The vendor row at the Stars Championship Series is a big proponent of the championship. And I'm going to go over and pull Christian, because you and I both, you know, Sunday donuts, this tradition that you've started and continued, this has definitely got to be one of the nicest looking platters. I know you had nothing to do with actually how it looks right here, right?
Yeah, for sure. All the partner stuff's Jackson Gardner, but really just being able to support local business and bring in the donut thing. You know, we like drivers that celebrate, we like donuts, and it's just kind of become part of our thing here at Stars.
How about that here, folks? Take a look at this. And Caleb, Haley, Kyle, I'll send it back to you guys. I might be a minute before we do an interview or something. These are pretty good.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And it, as well, they actually brought over the Cookie Monster that was available yesterday as well. They one of the platters that they do have, that was it definitely had me quiet for a couple of laps at the start of some of the races, for sure. Just sneaking a bite in here and there.
Look how happy Xander looked.
Yeah,
we gave him a food segment, a sweet treat segment, and he looks so happy. I love it.
We got a lot of sweet treat fans out here as well, but never before dinner. My mom would be very upset with me after I had some donuts before dinner last night. So not ideal, not ideal. But we moved.
I gotta disagree a little bit. I'm always a fan of a snack for a donut. Personally, I really like their s'mores option. It comes with a lot of really yummy things, and if you're here in the paddock listening, I also recommend that you check them out. You get the s'mores, and let me know how you like it.
That's good. We call it the Haley Donaldson s'mores as well. That'll be one of the cool things about it. But yeah, and my just a little bit on the dessert thing as well. You're gonna eat it anyway, so before or after, it doesn't mean anything. The checkered flag in the air for KZ Masters. Let's take a look back at what we saw yesterday in OK and Stars. And again, that championship very, very close. Blake Nash, Paulie Massimino, who had an answer for him yesterday, right? Blake was very fast in the qualifying session, but Paulie, he was able to get himself in there, right? He was able to take the fight to him. And again, we saw that race start in the first moto. Paulie, as quickly as that, was able to take the lead. And again, speaking to him a little bit last night, he did what he had to do. Went down defending. You don't see that a lot out of Paulie Massimino. And again, he's racing for a championship this weekend. He knows that, and he's doing whatever he can. And there was carnage further back. Theo Corelli, just bad luck, really bad luck on the Friday. But Finnegan Bailiff, more can be said about him. Want to hear what's kind of been going on for him as well. Ryan Raffa, honestly, very, very surprising this weekend, getting himself in the top 5 as well. Didn't have bad luck in the second moto here at night, and more bad luck for Chase Gasly. Couldn't get fired off in the first moto, didn't get fired off on time, and then got himself through. Rafa made that little bit of a recovery. Henry Wheeler as well, another driver with bad luck, broken rear bumper bolt. And Paulie, at the end of the day, got that second win in the second moto to clinch the pole position going into the main event today.
Yeah, I think the thing we're seeing here in OKN, when I look at it, is Paulie just won $8,000 here a couple weeks ago. He is the defending champion of the Stars Championship Series in OKN. I mean, I think it's not surprising to see him up at the front, because you have to be relaxed in that position, right? Like, you have to, there's no pressure. You don't have to prove anything. You've already proved yourself. Blake Nash has not won a championship in the senior division, just won his first race at Quaker City. I mean, there's a bit of a difference there, and this is Paulie's home track. He has to be feeling relaxed, and Blake has to be feeling a bit of pressure, but like you said, he showed up yesterday. He did everything he had to do in the points to put himself in a position where, on paper, it's a pretty easy run for him in the final, but anything can happen.
Yeah, Blake was very good. He was very good over at Quaker City, where he was able to get it done in the end when it was all said and done. And again, he's had that pace, right? That Nash Motorsports machine. Haley, you've talked to him. That Mega Power Engines Nash Motorsports has been on rails so far this weekend, and we're going to see that as well in the flashback, where again, Blake Nash came out at Quaker, cool, collected. He was firstly here for the King of the Castle, but again, at Quaker, that was one of the weekends where we really saw him come to life, where, finally, Blake, he's always been in the position to win, but that weekend, he was able to get it done, Kyle.
Yeah, he was definitely the strongest of the field. I mean, the thing about Quaker City that I think we forget a little bit, too, is the unfortunate turn of events for James Overbeck. Came into the weekend leading the points and wasn't able to start the main. So, I mean, that also helped out Blake Nash. I mean, Blake has really had everything go his way. He's had the pace. They've had a ton of power, a ton of speed from that go-kart. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm actually, after a couple of years of Blake in the senior class, I mean, he's kind of burst onto the scene this year after a year in Europe, and it's shown. He's really improved, and yeah, I mean, like I said, it should be, everything on paper is that it's a pretty easy kind of path to a championship for Blake Nash, but anything can happen, and yeah, it should be pretty simple, but it's not usually that simple in racing.
We saw him on screen there for a second, but I'd like to talk about Chase Gasly and what happened to him during Moto 2 yesterday, because we didn't get to touch on it at all. He actually had one of his pedals, either the brake or the gas, I'm not quite sure, I didn't get too good of a look at it, but he actually told me that it's fully snapped off of his go-kart, and thank goodness he was able to get it off the track before he was injured or anyone else was injured.
Yeah, spoke to Chase actually a little bit last night on what we saw, throughout the day. So, again, unfortunate incident for Chase. I believe it was Mason Kuhn, another one of the MPG Academy drivers that I believe either lost brakes or something went amiss, right, where you had to take evasive action. And this turn actually right here, turn number 8, went through and, again, snapped that pedal off of Chase Nash machine. We'll keep an eye on Chase as well. Again, a year of bad luck. You talk about opening round at the Queen City Gambit, DNF. Quaker, unfortunate mistake. With the rules, just didn't go his way either, and then here this weekend just hasn't had the luck.
Yeah, I mean, he showed pace in the first round leading up to the final, and I think that kind of just set the tone for his year, right? Just bad luck and bad timing. But again, when it's your rookie year, I feel like he's shown what he's needed to show, that he has the pace, and he's kind of learned those lessons throughout his rookie year, and I think it's only up from here for Chase.
Yeah, and as we watch these micros on track, let's touch on what we saw yesterday in their second heat, as it was incredibly insane, in my opinion. We saw some insane battles. Let's watch it.
Yeah, again, yesterday the driver on our screen, Lennox Lockhart, issues for him in heat race number 1, where he was in the wall and then kind of got stuck as well in one of the barriers. But that being said, there was a lot of names that were up at the front. Jack Katowski was one of those. That kid was impressive. Slate Harrell, again, when you come into a weekend fighting for a championship, himself and Brody Stoffel, both of them kind of locked in that battle. They put themselves in the situation where they've been going back and forth, right? The battles have definitely started up where, again, we talked about defending on that last lap, going low and keeping drivers honest, and we definitely saw a whole lot of that in the Micro Swift heats as well. But again, all eyes on Brian Perry Motorsports Nitro Kart. Slate Harrell and his teammate as well, Brody Stoffel, was at the end of it, when it was all said and done, 18 points, and I believe that might have just opened up a little bit more for the number 8 in the 29. A couple of other drivers. Dutch Westbrook had an incident, in turn number 5, where on the outside he just got sent over, went airborne almost. It was a wild, hectic race for sure. And again, that goes back to the topic that we had earlier, the championship. I think that brings out a lot of it in these drivers, especially when you have a good number of them still almost, for the most part, in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think Micro Swift yesterday was that was the highlight pretty much of the day in racing terms. I mean, Slate Harrell looking pretty dominant, but it's going to be pretty interesting to see him and Brody Stoffel pretty much in a heads-up battle for the championship here today in both the pre-final and the final. I think it really makes it simple, right? When you just have one guy that that, hey, we have to finish ahead of pretty much one spot ahead of each other, and we're racing each other heads up for this championship. Now, there are others who are still in contention, but with a 10-point gap before drops and 17 after drops, like, you're pretty much, it's clear, cut and dry on who you're racing.
Yeah, in terms of the championship, there's another class that's pretty close, the Pro Shifters. Let's send it over to Xander to talk to Adrian Redden.
Thanks, Haley. Adrian, we were just talking about the scenarios a little bit before. Basically, for those that are watching along at home, Adrian enters second in the points, 25 back from Mateus Morgado. And with 2 wins on the year, you're looking pretty good if you end up in a tie in the points. And so there's one scenario. Go out, win the race. Morgado, you beat him by 25 points. That put him third. If AJ's in the middle, you win the tiebreaker of 3 wins to 1 if you get your 3rd win in a row. And that's something I want to start with on a positive note. Forget the stress of the championship. You're batting 1,000 in this series. You're batting almost 50-50 basically at every single American race, and you've had speed to win. So at this track that you've never been to, and a track that AJ knows inside and out, how do you rate how good you've been able to come to grips with the layout, your driving, and what you need out of the go-kart here?
Yeah, especially in the Star Championship, it's very difficult for us to find a good setup as we don't have a lot of session, but we're getting better and better, and like the last 2 races of the Star I win, I'm getting stronger every day, and it's what I will try to make today to win the final. After for the championship, the best option is to win, and then we see what they do behind me, but I will do my best to win, and if I can make some little tips to help me on the championship, I will.
Now, the one other part of the Stars Championship with being limited track time, you're not on track till much later today, so we've actually got your go-kart a bit in pieces. Can you explain to the viewers a little bit of what the process is when you came off the track last night, and what'll be then going back through before it's all hooked up to go? You got no motor on it right now, airbox is off. What's the overnight prep, take apart, put back together look like for you?
Yeah, since yesterday night we finished a bit late, so we just go to the hotel, rest, and we have time to see today as the warm-up is at 4 p.m. Now this morning we have a discussion with my mechanic, my engine tuner, and also my boss Ruben to find a good setup for today, as we will try something in the warm-up. Can be good or worse, but want to be sure to have the good duration for the final. And yeah, because we have to come early, because as a big team we have some mini, some master who drive early. So it's good also to be there to support everyone and watch. But yeah, now more the time come and more we focus on ourselves.
And we don't do a lot of night racing. I know there's a handful of night races throughout. Adria has some night races because they have lights in Europe. There's a handful of other tracks that'll do it. We do it twice a year with our big races, and then we race at Vegas for part of the week in the night. But it's a different routine at the race weekend. What's your mornings look like? Was it tougher to go, okay, I'm not getting up at 6 in the morning, I don't do this for breakfast or this gas station or anything?
Now it's okay, but the first day after the quali was really hard because of the jet lag. So for me, like when we sleep at midnight was like 6 a.m. for me in France, and I was completely dead after the quali, but now it's getting okay with the jet lag, so this is better. But no, honestly, just the worst is the weights, because you have an important final tonight, and you just have to wait because you can't make nothing, so you pass your time to check the chassis, the engine, to find every little details that can help, because sometimes you don't have time to check. Especially this morning we find something on the engine that was broke. So this is the good thing when you have time to check everything, but yeah, in the head is, I think the best solution is to don't think about it, and 1 hour, 2 hours before to really enter in the race and focus.
And what's the morning routine? Are you a breakfast guy? Are you a no breakfast guy? Coffee guy? No coffee? What do you do?
I wait lunch. I eat it at the morning.
And no coffee at all? No caffeine?
No, nothing.
How about that? No coffee, no nothing, no breakfast. Just wait until lunch, and then he's going to be ready to rock tonight under the lights. We'll send it back to you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Xander. If you guys remember back to the King of the Castle, where we asked drivers how they like their eggs cooked, Adrian, his response was, I just don't eat eggs. That's not his thing. So, yeah, it's a long time to wait for lunch, because lunch here is about 4 in the afternoon. So now that being said, we also have another segment coming out later on type of shampoos drivers have been using.
Did you ask Adrian?
I did, and I did get an answer. I'm not going to spoil it, but again, you guys should take a look at our socials for that.
Follow Kart Chaser on social media.
For sure.
Caleb, I know that you talked to the drivers about how they like their eggs cooked. How do you like your eggs cooked?
Over medium. I'm a big over medium guy. Sadly, I didn't have any this morning. But again, take a look at the screen there. Give us a follow on Instagram, and we'll be right back. Just a quick commercial break.
Florida Kart Racers, you asked for it, and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Whoa, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
Welcome back. We've got the KA Juniors on track. Let's talk about them for a moment. This is Group B, but who do we think we're going to see be fast today in the KA Junior category?
Well, I think yesterday gave us one of the best looks that we had, right? Lucas Palacio. Kind of hard not to put him in that conversation. In that case, we do have a lot of drivers actually in that second group that are going to be racing in the LCQ later on today. So for them, right, it's really important for them to kind of try and get out of that LCQ, being in the top 10. We see it week in, week out, right? Stay out of trouble, keep your nose clean, put yourself in the position to make the main.
Yeah, those LCQs are going to be interesting. You definitely, when you show up to the night fight, the goal is to race at night, and these kids are going to be doing everything they can to fight their way out of the LCQs to be able to make it to the final. Talking about KA Junior just for a second, I think the one guy to watch yesterday was Max Weiler. I think after qualifying, kind of struggling in qualifying, and then being able to be in the fight for the win in the top 3 yesterday really showed a lot. I mean, that kid works really hard, and I think he'll be one to watch today.
Oh, Anthony Lewis had a little off-track excursion there on the Hoax driver development machine. I think he might be done in that warm-up session. But yeah, Max Weiland, it was also interesting to hear from AJ, right? You talk about the highlights of the year, right? He's, hasn't been racing as much as he did last year because he did KA. But even this year, right, he's enjoyed watching the progression. And the same goes for a guy like Diego Ramos, who's been watching the progression of his drivers. AJ, the list goes on, right, of these drivers that are in a different position, coaching, giving back to that next generation. I think is cool.
Yeah, I think when you have AJ Myers in your corner, the years of experience he has, and not just shifter, but single speed, KA, all of it.
He showed it last year, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was a little bit disappointed. He said maybe we'll do X30 next, and he didn't. So
lied to us, right?
Yeah, he lied to us. It's just that's really cool to see.
You guys talk a lot about how we see the same couple of names every time that we talk about the KA Junior category. We've got 5 to 10 people that every single weekend they seem to show up, and they're always fast. But who have you seen this weekend that isn't necessarily in our championship, but has still showed up with a lot of speed that you think could shake things up for our championship contenders?
Well, if you will, I think a driver that's a little bit far off the championship, Oliver Nybert, given he is in this, LCQ, he mixed it up throughout the day yesterday, so I really had an eye on him. Nico Kotowski is a little bit ways back. He's down in 7th, but he's been very, very fast as well. That being said, again, there's a lot of championships. We talked about Max Weiland. We've talked about AJ as well. And why don't we take a look back at his championship run last year? Picture perfect at your new home track. Walking through the emotion, you were close already in 2024. Finally get it done here at the Star Championship Series. Walk me through the emotions, AJ.
No, it's great to get it done. A lot's gone on this weekend behind the scenes, and it's just great to kind of put it out there and dominate. It's a great feeling. It doesn't always happen, and weekends like this don't always come around, so you got to capitalize when they do.
And it also seems like you have 2 favorite racetracks on the season, Newcastle Motorsports Park, Trackhouse Motorplex. You swept both of those weekends. How special is it to do it in both a track that you grew up racing at in Newcastle and a track that you now call home?
Yeah, no, it's tremendous. I mean, I love winning anywhere. At my original home track of Orlando, I don't think I've ever won a race there. Maybe that's my struggle bus there. I love winning here, and I love driving here. Shifter karts is tough. The K is a better track that year, I think, but Shifters is always fun. 25 laps of nonstop. This package right here, it's the best one out there, and people can say what they want, but haters hate, winners win.
I mean, I think one thing to say about AJ Myers that I think is really shown this year in a struggle year kind of for him not being able to get a win yet is I think he's so good at putting the last race behind him. He is so good at focusing on ahead and rather than kind of looking behind. There's so many moments you can point at that probably would ruin any other driver's kind of mental capacity going into the next round, where he's just been able to push forward. And, that just comes from experience of knowing, the ups and downs of racing. And, we'll get to it a little bit later in our picks, but, I really think the story this year of AJ leading the most laps, he's contending for the championship this weekend, but he's a little bit out. I don't know how worried he is about getting that monkey off his back to get a win, because I think he knows that in 2 months' time, there's a pretty big race coming up that he hasn't won yet. And even if he doesn't win a championship or another race this year, that could make up for all of it.
Another race winner that we're going to see here in just a second with Xander is Gavin Bailiff. He was our Houston winner for SCUSA. Let's send it to Xander.
Thanks, Haley. Gav, we're up at the top. You guys are pitted a couple rows back, but we're able to get inside your tent here on the final day. What do we need this weekend here? You've kind of been knocking on the door of getting in close range that lead group. The second moto looked a little stronger, but still, what are you hunting for?
Yeah, it's been like a weekend of fifth and sixth. I've been fifth and sixth nearly like every session this weekend. So we're fighting, had just a little bit with the whole package yesterday, but I think we're getting it figured out for this morning. We've changed motor. We're going to see how that goes in the warm-up, and then just a couple little chassis tweaks. But yeah, I think we're on the cusp of being in like the first place group, but we're just trailing right now in fifth and sixth.
Yeah, you basically need a home run, too, from the way those went, the way the years went with the drops to at least even get onto the championship top 3 with the points up for grabs for the main. But I talked to Adrian about it, and he kind of, mentioned that with so much time before you guys go out for warm-up and being here this early, you can overthink things. It's nice to look for stuff that's broken, but he's like, man, you don't even want to focus till about an hour or two before. Is that the same with you?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm trying to keep my mind off things a little bit by tearing down this thing, so we're not here until 2 a.m. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a kind of a long day before we hit the track for those finals, so just trying to keep it cool, just see how this warm-up goes, and then it's just a big fight in the final.
And then this is the only night racing action that you get, with a rubbered-up racetrack national event before Vegas. So was there anything that caught you by surprise last night with how much the track changed from Moto 1 to Moto 2, or any takeaways you're like, oh, this might have worked, or even tonight, to try, get ready for Supernats, knowing that if it works, great, you got the Hail Mary to win it, but more than anything, you prep for the big one.
Yeah, definitely prepping for Supernats. I'd say the biggest thing right now, the track pretty much keeps the temperature. I think it gets a little bit dewy at night. So it's just those first 2 laps, making sure you don't make a pretty crucial mistake, locking the fronts. I think that happened in the second moto yesterday, so with a couple other guys. So yeah, just keeping it clean on those first couple laps, taking that experience to Vegas and just going for it there. Obviously, this hasn't been the season of luck for me, so I think I'm going to be aiming to go for it in Vegas.
Now, one other thing, if you don't mind, if we could take a look over at your go-kart, because this was a talking point that we've had in the past, and that was about the bumper mounting, right, in terms of height. So, Hunter, if we want to take a look from the backside so we can see it, and Gavin, you can kind of walk the viewers through. Granted, you guys don't run with the pushbacks and shifter, but even on these, if you really get close, you've got a couple mounting holes where you could take the bumper higher or lower. And have you guys played with that this weekend? But if you haven't, at least could you give the viewers a breakdown of what it would do a little bit?
Yeah, I know last year they were having some issues with the aero wash, specifically at this track. I really haven't had much of an aero wash issue this year, so we haven't really played with it much. But I've been able to kind of keep that gap into the next guy in front of me, so I haven't really had to worry about that. But yeah, if you raise the bumper, you're going to get air underneath of it, so then it's gonna wash the front out and make it push even worse. So I know last year Diego was lowering his bumper, trying to get some more air on that front bumper to just keep the weight down on the ground.
Great bit of intel, folks. And again, while these guys don't have the pushback bumpers, this will be a talking point for every single class as well. So a good close look at Gavin's go-kart as he gets ready. Has plenty of time, and we'll get back over to the pre-race show and talk with some of the more superstars in the field.
Yeah, very interesting point, right? That was one of the things that we talked a lot about last year. And again, we're going to take a look at it again throughout the day today. And I was curious to ask this question, right? Gavin, at midnight tonight, is turning 21. We asked about the morning routine. Interested to see what the night routine is going to be like for Gavin here in the next couple of days.
Yeah, and that's going to come in handy when we get to Vegas, right? Gavin's look, he's had a kind of a breakout year, getting his first win at the start of the year, and you look back to Vegas, he's definitely a guy this weekend that probably wants to learn a thing or two, with the conditions being a little bit similar, because you look at last season, and if you're I've been the guy who's updated the stat sheets year by year, so I know that Gavin over the last 2 seasons of being in shifter has kind of become the guy over the last 2 years that is kind of the king of the midfield. He's kind of been consistently in the top 10, but once we got to Vegas last year, he was in the back. He did not have a strong Vegas whatsoever, so he's definitely a guy that I think wants to probably learn a thing or two. Granted, it's a new chassis, different chassis going into Vegas season this year, but he had a really, really bad time at Vegas last year. So after having this pretty solid, piece of work this year throughout all the events, I think he's definitely going to be looking to probably learn a thing or two going in.
Xander talked about the track for a second there whenever he was talking with Gavin, but I'd really like to ask for your guys' opinion on it on more of like a mechanical go-kart standpoint. What do you guys think that we've seen throughout this weekend, seeing as it's our last day, last couple runs on the track? How has this track evolved over the weekend? Trackhouse, I feel like, in my opinion, is a track where you really see rubber lay down, especially in the pit lane.
Yep.
I'll try to touch on that later to get our viewers a visual, but it gets to a point down there where it takes your shoes off, basically.
Correct.
What do you think that these go-karts are feeling on the racing line?
Yeah, I mean, your point on the pit lane yesterday, I actually pointed out to Xander off the air. I was like, man, these kids are struggling to push their karts through, and I think it's the exact same thing out there on the track, right? You're seeing that rubber being laid down corner after corner. The big difference, I think, that we see at night, though, is the drop in temperature, which I think does a lot to the track evolution. Hearing from almost every single driver, that's been one of the biggest things to adapt to, and some of them haven't made changes because you could be out there for heat race number 1. You could be overstuck, which means you have too much grip, and then you go out there for Moto 2, Heat 2, whatever you want to call it, and you have no grip. And we saw that exactly in the shifters, right? Moto 1, AJ felt like he was overstuck at the end of the race, too much grip, and then in Moto 2, it looked like the grip just never came in because they were slipping and sliding at the start and never really, had that confidence to go and put that good lap time down. So when it comes to adjusting to that, I think tire pressure is the big thing. You can go too high on tire pressure, which again would get you overstuck, maybe too much grip at night, and you can go not high enough, but that grip just never comes in.
Yeah, I think, this event's interesting, right? Because right now, it's going to be 80 and sunny during the day, and it kind of feels like any other summer day that we've had all season. But being September, when the sun drops, we're about 10, even probably 10 degrees cooler than it was 3 weeks ago at Miami Grands, and it's still a bit humid, so it's a bit different than what we had a few weeks ago. And yeah, to Caleb's point, you can't. It's 2 different tracks, day and night, and I think we witnessed that in both the motos. Especially it's noticeable in Pro Shifter. The faster the class, the more noticeable it'll get.
What about if you guys were them? What would you be thinking about whenever you're on the track, change-wise, going into later in the day, whenever the track cools off and it gets a little bit more slick with the moisture? What would you guys change if you were them?
I think tire pressure. Tire pressure to me is one of the big things. I think last night, if I was in that situation, I would have dabbled with tire pressure. Just recently, I did a night race, and again, track felt a little different. Tire pressure was the biggest thing I think that I changed. First is getting comfortable, that's what the first day being here is for. That's what the Thursday of this week was for, right? Getting comfortable, making sure you feel okay with a go-kart. And then from then on, you're just trying to dial in the right tire pressure, right? Of when you want to come in, when do you want to be fast. And that's, I think, one of the hardest things to get right. Tire pressure, make or break. I think that's critical. That's critical here this weekend.
Yeah, I completely agree. Caleb, you have a bit more night racing experience than I do, so I'll take your word for it. I think tire pressures are huge and getting comfortable.
Another driver that I think we're going to see very comfortable as he rolls off P1, I believe today, is P2. Mr. Mateus Morgado. Xander's got him.
Yeah, he's just over here doing a little bit of coaching alongside Lucas with some of the micro and mini kids for PSL karting. So, Mateus, we were just talking with you a little bit about championship scenarios. You've got the easiest place to fight from. Second or better, no matter what, you've got it. Third or better, there's only one scenario where you don't end up walking out of here tonight as the champion. That would be, I'm sure, probably like after last night going over the highlights, like almost a relief feeling, no? After the way this year's gone with a lot of promise to finally get one championship?
Yeah, I'll try my best for sure when I win the race, but that's not sometimes how you win the championship. You gotta think in the championship because the championship is the the effort the team put on you and that we put all season to arrive to this point and be able to bring the championship home. So I think my goal today is to just have the championship. For sure, I will fight hard against both of them and everyone that is on top there. But my goal today will be to win this championship.
And talk to me too about what's your morning routine, right? Because we do a night race only once a year with Shifter outside of Vegas. So what was championship Saturday morning look like for you? Breakfast, no breakfast, coffee, no coffee?
Well, woke up first 7:30 a.m. because Lucas woke up to go to the gym. Went back to sleep, woke up 9 a.m. Ordered IHOP. I don't know how to say that in English.
IHOP, yeah, IHOP.
It's amazing. They should sponsor me, by the way. And then came to the track at 11 a.m. and 11 a.m. and now Micro's on track, and then have Master in the Shifter Masters so on track as well. So been watching them how they are doing.
And last night, from Moto 1 to Moto 2, big gap. Sun was up, sun went down. Was there anything that you expected or didn't expect of what the track was like when we went out of the lights?
The track changed, but I think our tires were a bit consumed, everyone's tires, which made everyone a bit slower. Was good race. Even Moto 1 was good. We took very good data from Moto 1 and Moto 2 that I think will be useful for today's final, which is a super long race. I hope all the best. I think we have a good setup, Kart, engine-wise, and me myself, so really excited for that.
Thank you, Mateus. Good luck today.
Thank you.
That's Mateus Morgado, one of our 3 fighting for the title in Pro Stars, fellas. And Haley.
First of all, shout out to our KC data analysis, Lucas Ruggiero, for getting to the gym tonight. How about polar opposites of Mateus going to IHOP? IHOP, sponsor this man.
One of them's driving, the other one's,
the one driving went to IHOP.
Exactly. So, again, we can argue. Mateus needs to rest up. There's a big championship on the line tonight. Lucas has every reason to be in the gym. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more pre-race action presented by Perico.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Welcome back. Hello, everyone. You're hearing from me again. You love my voice. I love you guys too. Caleb and Kyle, everyone loves us. You love to hear from us. Let's talk about the OKN Stars. They're one of our headline classes, and we've seen a lot from them this weekend. A lot of speed. Let's run through their championship season and who we think could take it home today.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in Moto 1 yesterday, it kind of started with a bang. You know, everybody 3 wide into turn, I believe 8. You know, it started off really messy, and then since then we've kind of spread out. We've kind of singled out. We've kind of been saving our stuff for the final. You know, I think we're going to see it kind of pack back up tonight, and kind of things get a little bit more wild.
Yeah, and this is a little bit to what we saw yesterday. You guys watched it earlier, and we're going to watch it again, right? I talked a lot about it, right? Paulie, very, elbows out racing, confident, out there doing what he has to do to end up with a championship at the end of the weekend with a major points haul. And again, a lot of action in that one, and honestly kept us on the edge of our seats. I was very impressed to see what we saw out of Paulie and Blake, and then Paulie was able to get the better of him as well in that second moto. So here for those of you at home, a little bit of the scenarios that we do have going into OK on Stars. For Blake Nash, he needs to finish 6th or better if Paulie wins, 7th or better if Diego Ramos or James Overbeck win later on today. So that's pretty much that. Just needs to finish the race today. And again, I'd be really, really surprised. Something would really have to go wrong for Blake if he's to finish 6th or 7th, and even further back than that. So that's, again, one way to the wave of momentum for Blake Nash. You talk about Paulie. Nash 7th or worse with a win. Again, he has to go out there and win. No ifs, ands, or buts for him in this one. For James Overbeck, Nash 7th or worse with a win, tying but winning the tiebreaker 2 wins to 1. So he would win with the second win, had a win at King of the Castle. Diego, again, not the best scenario. Nash 8th or worse with a win. So for everybody but Blake Nash, it's a must win tonight, and you need a lot to fall in your hands. And wish a lot of bad luck to Blake, which you never want to do to a competitor. To be out of the question. Period.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing I said earlier. I think Paulie he has nothing to lose. He's already won this championship. You've won a couple races this year, and ultimately the reason he's out of it is because of some misfortunes in some of the races so far. I mean, I think he's just confident. Like you said when we were watching the highlights, Blake has everything to lose. He's ahead right now, and it's a pretty clear path to win the championship, but the nerves of just the unknowns. Am I going to make it off the grid? Is the engine going to fire? Am I going to get taken out in some melee that's not my fault at the start? There's a lot of different things that can happen that could completely be out of Blake's control. But, the comforting thing is, to this point, Blake has done everything right that is in his control. He's given up points to Paulie so far, but, he's maximized it to the point where he's giving up the minimum amount of points if he were to lose him, right? So it's a pretty clear path for Blake, but the unknowns for him are scary.
I've had the honor of speaking with Blake quite a bit this weekend since he's been so fast. And last night we talked about his driving style and why we think he's been such a walkaway recently. And the way that he drives the kart is really just kind of at like 60 or 70%. He doesn't go all the way because with these OKNs, if you were to push them like you push an X30 or even a KA, they don't handle as well. It starts to just get a little bit too free. So he likes to tone it back just a little bit, drive a little bit more calm, a little bit more collected, and it's been working for him.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday with Daniel, right? And again, one of the things that we saw last year, you lock in the brakes, you stop. Those engines don't seem to work the same after that. But again, there's more shifter drivers here this weekend that we haven't talked to yet. I talked to him a little bit, but Xander standing by with Justin White.
Well, yeah, we're catching a little bit of shade here in the Maranello tent, talking about what we want to do to pass the time for the couple hours before you hit the racetrack. Justin, Moto 2 last night, you and Adrian able to play around a little bit. You guys are both on Carlos's motors. I'm sure that was probably another tick in the confidence booster type of result that you've had this year, right?
No, it's been really good. Yeah, in Moto 1, me and him were, I got by him after a mistake that he made, and then, we messed around a little bit on the last couple laps, and then I was right there with him in Moto 2, but knowing that the pace is right there with all of them, it's a big confidence booster, like you said.
Now, we just got done talking with Morgado. He was trying to sleep in at the hotel, and his roommate woke him up. Your roommate is the entire paddock, because you and your dad are crashing it here in your guys' trailer, so you couldn't really sleep in. What's been your morning looking like here on Championship Saturday?
It's been pretty boring. I mean, I fall asleep around like 12:30, wake up here at the track, around 7 o'clock we leave. We go to one of my buddy's hotels. We take a shower, have some breakfast and stuff, and then get back around the track around 10. So I don't have a lot of sleep, but, I'm good enough, I guess.
Didn't get a workout in? Dude, I see you keep getting bigger, I feel like, every time we interview you.
I wish. I'm at that limit right now. I can't get any heavier to make weight, so maybe once racing's over, you'll see me even bigger around the paddock.
Maybe an off season. See how big you can get before we go down to Florida and deal with the heat again. How about this? You in any fantasy football leagues? I see the whole tent's got the football on instead of us. I don't know what's up with that, Carlos, and what's going on here. You in fantasy football? You a big football guy?
Nope, that's not me. That's all Josh. Josh is the one that wants the football on. That's not me.
Let's bring Gage over here. Gage, come over here. Not done yet here with this morning show. We got to talk to you because obviously you just, what was it? Bright lights, the nerves last night. That's why you sucked in Moto 2, right?
No, my clutch wore out, sadly, down the straightaway on the second lap, sadly, again.
Talk to me about racing with these guys. What's been this year? It's probably totally different scenarios, going against a bunch of kids from around the world in the FIA Academy Series, but then going against career go-karters, longtime professionals and champions in shifter. What are some differences from each, and is there either side that's developed you more?
Racing against these guys in pro shifter is just a whole nother level, but I think it's better because they all treat you with respect, and at the start, the first part of the year, you don't get as much respect as a junior coming straight into shifter, but now I think I'm a little bit more respected, and I still got to keep proving myself. But in the academy, it was really cool to race, but it just never went my way. To pole in Spain and then DQ'd just right after, which really just sucked and kind of made the whole thing go downhill. But, I'm here to prove myself and keep going for the rest of the year.
And Justin, I'll send it back to you here to sign it off. Gage, appreciate the time. We'll let you get back to getting ready. But going to you, Justin, he's one of a lot of teammates, both on the Engine Alliance with Adrian, with Musgrave and the Factory Karts crew, but also just the entire Maranello tent. This turnout's huge. You and your dad got a few customers in your own tent because there's so many under here as well. How different has this year felt having so many teammates to kind of go back and forth with? And is it a pride thing for you to be one of the first guys to run with Carlos, to run with Maranello, and then to see how many people are here now?
No, it's awesome. The team is great. We've come a long way, and that comes with numbers, we've proven ourselves, and a lot more people are coming under 10, a lot more young talents like Gage and some other people. And having the numbers under the tent helps me out as well because, a little bit of data here and there, I still pick a little bit of things off myself, just finding out how I could drive a little bit better. And then, it helps everybody when you're this big now.
And in terms of yourself this year, be it having this many teammates and having a rookie like Gage, what are some things that you've kind of told him over the year advice-wise, or, what's your normal go-to now? Because you're a veteran at this point. You're a leader and you're running at the front. How are you helping him?
I'm trying my best, I give him little tidbits here and there, but at the end of the day, he's still my competitor, So I'm helping him out as much as I could, but still not 100%,
There you go. Good luck today, Justin.
Thank you.
Send it back to you guys over in the official KC Perico pre-race.
There's a lot to take away from that. First of all, for Josh, watching the Houston Texans go at it, I know it's kind of weird his team choice because he is Canadian.
I love the Canadian was the big football guy under the Maranello tent. How about it?
And again, Justin in the gym, trying to, myself trying to be in there. Kyle, I see you're getting back. But yeah, there's a lot to take away, and I think for you see how lively that tent is as well. You hear the music's going. Gage, feeling good. Justin feeling good. So there's a whole lot to kind of take away from the conversation they just had, and there's a lot to take away from the racing that we saw yesterday as well, right? Both of the motos were, I think, impressive. It was a game of margins, which is a lot of what we saw yesterday, right? Where there was lap times that were as fast as each other, especially for the top three. But even then, everybody else, it showed how important the starts were here as well. And again, Kyle, watching this from an outside perspective, what did you see here, yesterday, seeing that Adrian obviously struggled in that first moto?
The shifter class this weekend just feels like a race that has been continuously going, that's kind of segmented because AJ had a really good pace early on. And then Mateus kind of caught him towards the end of Moto 1, and then we get to Moto 2, and Mateus kind of just overtakes AJ here and then takes off. So, I mean, I think we've seen the progression of the weekend. AJ on pole. AJ kind of leads the start of Moto 1 and ultimately wins it, but Mateus right on the bumper, and then Mateus winning Moto 2. It feels like a continuous race, and right now Mateus, even though he's starting second, is kind of is ahead of AJ right now.
Yeah, and again, AJ yesterday, I heard him talking a little bit last night. That last lap, something was off. Something was weird with that Magic Kart machine. But the pace, I would say, was definitely on. Xander standing by with him.
We're here in the Magic tent, just working my way around over to Matt Machiko's go-kart. AJ's fully taking advantage of the time here this morning where he can actually help out a little bit, go to work. And this is the first day, to my knowledge, that AJ's actually been able to work under the tent in the morning, to go to work in his day job during the week, but it's Saturday. So Robbie's got him to work. Robbie, let's talk to you because he's still messing over here with the axle. Qualifying after how good FP4 or FP3 was for you, obviously a bit of a downbeat, but you've been moving in both motos, man. You've been getting going.
Yeah, I think I got to re-grease my wheels a little bit, man. So it's been a little bit of time, but unfortunately, I'm not like my little brother. So getting slowly better, and I think by the final time, hopefully I'll be there. We got a good team behind this, and hoping all the stars align, we kind of figure things out. So.
And we've talked to CJ now once. I know it's a huge source of pride for you, for Andrew, and AJ, because you've worked with CJ Bowman so much. He's one of the big rising stars you guys have had this year. Max Weiland's really broke onto the scene this year, but CJ especially. It's been up front, had a little miscue in that second moto, but talk to me how proud you've got to feel to see another young star come out of this camp that you guys have developed.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows that hard work and being persistent really does pay off, right? CJ's a young kid, has a great head on his shoulders. He's got a great coach with AJ, working alongside our Andy guys, Cody Beck and Alessio. I think it's just a testament to show that you put in the work, you work with the right people, and you're persistent about it, results do show up.
And in terms of the night racing, right, the working under the tent and getting the nice organizational flow, I'm sure for the Vegas events helps. You guys were obviously here with a couple of drivers for Miami Grands, but do you feel like the night practices, the night motos last night, is there anything that might cross over to November in the desert?
I think a little bit, obviously different track surfaces, right? Vegas, you race once a year. This is obviously raced continuously. I think the same applications kind of somewhat apply, but just only to a certain degree. So I think it's for sure going to be I think it'll work in our favor going into Vegas time, but it's still going to be a little bit different. So.
And from what you've seen, both out on the racetrack and through this season, what's this guy got to do to be able to at least be the first of the checkers tonight? The championship will be a couple other dominoes out of his control. Morgado would need to fall back a good bit, and Reninen would need to at least be third, I believe, if not fourth. So for AJ to win, the title's tough, but he's definitely got the pace to win. He won here last year. What's he got to do tonight?
He's got to win. I mean, that's it, man. He's got to put his head down. I think he trusts the equipment, he's trusting the team, and that's half the battle. So, as things progress, I think he's got to put his head forward and make this 20 minutes.
Yeah, just about.
So make this 20 minutes last and go from there. So,
all right. Well, good luck to you too tonight, Robbie.
Appreciate it, guys.
AJ's still working over here. We're going to give them some time because Matt Machiko's up in a bit. Unless you want to talk, AJ, can we stay here for a sec? We'll come away from it a little bit because all the engines warming up down by the grid is throwing me off. So I want to make sure we can talk to you. We've talked to everybody else so far that you're fighting for the title. And just like we talked to the presser last night, it'd be bittersweet basically because there's so much that has to happen for you to end up with the championship again like last year. But I'd have to think from your shoes, it would be equally, exciting to win as it would be kind of a relief, right, tonight after the year you guys have had?
Yeah, no, I mean, my mind's on the championship. I know there's not really enough drivers here to get in between me and Morgado unless something unfortunate happens for him, and I'm not wishing to win a championship like that. So, I'm just going out there to try to win the race, and yeah, get that, get the monkey off the back. I mean, obviously we haven't won this year, and just to get it done would mean a lot, and get that kind of everyone, AJ can't win the race, AJ can't finish the race, Magic Kart falls off. That's just long, it gives you motivation.
And in terms of, sorry, it's getting hot out here. I've been walking around a good bit with Hunter. But in terms of Vegas and this, all the bad luck that's plagued you, What do you do on a morning like today where you're like, man, we got a shot at the win? What's your morning routine? You actually didn't have to go into the office, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, so I took a half day Thursday to come out here and went in at 6 a.m. Friday morning to make it back up. So yeah, this morning was in bed till 9 a.m. Woke up, had some bacon and eggs. Came here around 11 o'clock, just hanging out.
Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
AJ Myers, folks. Apologies that on the microphone, but that just tells you how many engines are warming up around the grid. There's all kinds of chatter. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I'm going to head over to the Perico pre-race show to join the rest of the gang, but for now, we'll send it over to Caleb, Haley, and Kyle.
Yeah, thank you there, Xander. And again, one of the biggest points that AJ made that I'm going to touch on furthermore on, whenever Xander does join us and we get ready to make our picks later on today. But again, that long run pace, that's the only thing everybody's been talking about when we talk about that Magic Kart team. I'm going to address that later on today. I'm going to save what I got. Because that's going to be good, and I'm excited for that segment as well later on today. But Haley, before we get wrapped up, what else do you have for us?
Yeah, I really wanted to ask you guys before we wrap this up, is there anything that I didn't even get to ask you or that I didn't think to ask that you guys would like to touch on, that maybe you saw in the booth, Kyle, you saw watching on track that you guys would like to bring up and tell our viewers about?
I think we've done a good job about covering it all, right? We've kind of touched on everything. And again, tonight, when you talk about it, right, we saw a great display of racing in Shifter. KA Senior, the same can't really be said about that class. I'd like to see maybe a little bit of cleaner racing today out of them. But in Shifter, a great display of racing. This track breeds excitement, and that's exactly what we're going to see later on tonight. We're going to see some great racing, some great passes. We're going to see surprises. There's going to be stories out here that are going to surprise us. There's going to be, kids that come up in the forefront and give us everything from start to finish. So that's what I'm most excited for here, right? This is it. This is one of the last times that we're all going to see each other before we head over to Las Vegas, Nevada later on. How do we get there? That was the biggest question I asked you yesterday, Kyle. That's what I asked Xander. How do we get there? How do these classes get there? What are the stories as well going into there? And tonight, later on, that's what we're going to find out.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Pro Stars. I mean, the weekend we've had so far, Thursday we had Will Power, IndyCar driver, Indy 500 champion qualifying, qualified P11, which says a lot, I think, about, our field. It says a lot about Will Power, just jumping and being P11. And then, like I said, I think it's just been a continuous race to this point. AJ wins the pole, wins Moto 1, but Mateus catches up. And then when we get tonight, it kind of flops to Mateus while he's second. I think he's a little bit ahead right now, and we'll get to more of that once we go over our picks. But yeah, I'm really excited.
Well, thank you guys for that little extra bit on what you were thinking about over the weekend. But we're going to take a moment to hear from our sponsors before we have Xander join us here.
Are you stuck with your kart racing? Not sure the ideal kart setup? Or going to a track for the first time? Well, Kart Class has the answers for you. Our online portal has a wealth of experience and knowledge to help your kart racing. From kart setup advice to track guides that are targeted specifically to your circuit, or the driver coaching aspect with mindset, racecraft and driving techniques. If you want to take your karting to the next level, visit us at kartclass.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion, Paulie Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to KA100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead-follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico? Non-GMO? Gluten-free? Kosher? Magnesium? B12? B6?
Yeah, it's good.
B5? Biotin? And zero sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Perico pre-race show here as our KA Stars have gone out onto the racetrack. And again, yesterday, when we look at that, Alan Isambard, Oliver Hodgson fighting for a championship. Hodgson found himself stuck on the edge of the top 5, maybe even just outside of that. Isambard, with the help of ADT, was able to get 2 heat race victories.
Yeah, Ollie didn't have the best qualifying effort. It wasn't terrible, right? We've talked about it till we've been blue in the face already about how stacked the grid is and how big it is. Biggest K100 class turnout outside of the SCUSA Super Nationals, so you know there's going to be plenty of big names that'll be buried in the field in qualifying. A few that got bit by some of the DQs Thursday night as well. But the issue when you've got that many drivers at similar speed and you qualify in the middle of it is tough to work your way forward, because this racetrack has a lot of switch back and forth sections where if you are going to defend into a corner, you're on the inside for the next one, even if you washed out at the exit. And that's what happened, especially in heat number 2 to Hodgson. He was trying to get past the likes of Adam Brickley and Colin Lloyd, but there was too much time lost in the first couple of laps between defending, passing back, that the leaders were gone. And at best, he was going to end up with a 5th place result. On the flip side, with Alan Isambard having Alessandro Tullio here, Ale's been able to get to the lead and at the same point, play a bit of a teammate role. It's not been egregious by any means, I would say, Kyle, but he definitely has been a factor to make it easier for Isambard to sweep both of his Group Seats races.
Yeah, I mean, it's, obviously you walk a fine line and where, yes, it could be egregious, but I don't think it has been to this point. I think it's just racing. I think if you're out there with, even if it's not a teammate or friend or someone that you've grown up racing, you're going to help out your friends, you're going to help out your teammates, and you're going to do whatever it takes for the betterment of the team as a whole. Now, I think how it's gone so far is pretty good, and I think, you're going to race your teammates nicer, and I think, I think it's been pretty good so far.
The difference is they've only been racing points so far, right? They were in the other group from Hodgson. Today, as we can see here with the groups re-racked for the warm-ups, the B pre-final, everyone that's going to that just went out on track. Now we've got all of the A pre-final drivers on track. So this will be an opportunity to be a bit egregious because they weren't taking points away from Hodgson. They were just maximizing the points that Allen could haul in those heats. And the pre-finals are double the heats. The final is double the pre-final. And in the case of Allen, he doesn't have any drop to fall back on. He didn't make it out to round 1 to defend his Queen City Gambit win from the year prior. So no doubt they needed to maximize yesterday, but there wasn't a way to also negate any points that Hodgson could bring home for himself. They were just getting points for Allen. And beyond them, this class, in terms of making a pick of who's going to win today, is going to be extremely tough because, like I said, some of the fastest guys on the field, Connor Ferris, Jared Clark, any of them could get shuffled back at the start, trapped in that second group that's going to be defending and blocking. And you don't know what position that cut line is going to get drawn at, but when the groups separate, it's almost impossible to get back to the lead in KA Senior if the lead pack is 1, 2, or 3 guys. They'll be smart enough to know that they don't need to just, flex their ego and pass every single corner. They'll maintain that 4 or 5 second delta, and then it's a race for first and it's a race for fourth. So that's what's going to, I think, be the biggest factor of who ends up on the podium tonight, race-wise. Championship, we know it's really going to be those 2 guys fighting for it, but the race, I don't know.
I'm right with you. If you ask me, I honestly have no idea who's going to win. Connor Ferris was obviously, we talked about his interview, right? After the qualifying session, just ice cold demeanor to him, and he was, I should have won here 2 weeks ago. And when you come back, you turn around here now to Stars, and he's out here to win a race, right? For the program, for what that would mean to that family-based operation, that would be huge, right? To show that that program is a race-winning operation. That's why I think you want to talk about picks. Connor Ferris can spoil the party for them. Oliver Hodgson, it looks like he needs a little bit more speed. I think, again, he wasn't in the right spots, but if he wants to contend with Alan Isambard, who's been, I think, one of the fastest drivers, you're seeing it on your timing charts here. ADT is quickest. He's purple right now. I think Oliver needs a little more.
Yeah, look, we started the week on Thursday talking about Alan Isambard and how last season, kind of came onto the scene in KA and won a bunch of races. This year, I don't think we've seen as much of that as we mentioned on Thursday, so I think Alan Isambard gets the win today. I think that team, both him and Ollie, have shown amazing pace, and I think he's just going to get it done.
I think that's a safe pick. I think with Connor Ferris, what we saw a little bit in Heat 2 was a bit more aggression than Heat number 1. Heat number 1, he was perfectly fine pushing Jared Clark, and he seemed perfectly fine leading. Heat 2, they had company, but there's a point where that determination and that chip on your shoulder to perform because you feel like you should have already thrown some results up on the year that you had speed to do so and didn't, can bite you. Talk to that about Jared, right? The fact that he kind of came into Miami Grands, it felt like he was more in that kind of headspace. And where that big win at Charlotte, and then the way the summer went at tracks he was less familiar with, but then coming to his home racetrack where he's grown up, developed, trained, gotten coaching from some of the best in the business, some of the winningest drivers, and a powerhouse operation now with BJR. When you look at the number of BJR drivers inside the top 15, and he was fast, but one mistake cost him a shot at the race win, realistically, because while he was still able to overcome and get onto the race day podium at Miami Grands, start from so far back the leaders were gone. He couldn't get there in time. So I think where he's at is a very good place to be. Not too determined, not trying to overachieve or thinking that this is, I'm not going to let this race slip away like I've let 3 others go. And for that, I hope that in Connor Ferris's case, that's where he's woke up this morning too, of like, all right, if the race needs me to be aggressive, I will be, but I don't need to be the one to force the issue because this race is going to be long enough that it can come to you. And maybe that pack splitting in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, wherever it does, could get back to the leaders. It won't happen in a heat. It may or may not happen in the A pre-final. Obviously, the times are really close, so to be able to close up on drivers, have good racing, you almost need disparity. We've got a lot of parity, but in the main event, long enough with the track conditions changing from when they'll go out in the A pre-final, keeping a cool head seems to be the way to win these races. At least that's what it looked like when Paulie Massimino's won more KA races at this track than anybody else in the last 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, well, it's about that time. With KA Stars wrapped up, we're getting ready to go into LCQs, but it's that time to give our picks for Pro Shifter. That championship on the line, 3 drivers realistically in it. We're going to start with the race win. First of all, Adrian Reneden, Mateus Morgado, AJ Myers have been 3 of the quickest. Xander, we'll start with you. Put you on the hot seat here, and again, just give us your pick with firstly the race win and then the championship.
Well, we know AJ Myers knows this place inside and out, and he won here last year. He's done so much coaching here. He's a hard driver to bet against for the race win. Mateus Morgado, long races. He's been exceptional. They seem to be good at the beginning of the moto, and I think on all accounts, right, based on what we saw last night, the Morgado missile is primed and ready for launch, and I think very easily he could get the race win that he needs to have that walk-off to the championship because he leads the point standings coming in. But I've been watching how much better Adrian Reneden has gotten throughout the entirety of this weekend, and I have my money on the Frenchman. Velocity Racing Sodi, not just for the race win, but I think AJ's going to be right there with them all the way. I think that Magic Kart's going to hang all the way to the checkered flag. He's going to prove some of those doubters wrong. And while he's not my pick to win the race, he is my pick to be the next one in line. and that would put Morgado in third, and the tiebreaker would go to the now 3-time 100% win streak driver Adrian Reneden. So that's who I've got for tonight in the championship and the race.
Kyle?
Well, that's funny. I started my week this week on Monday. Me and my girlfriend, we made steak frites. I paired it with a glass of Orangina, which is a French, orange juice, carbonated orange juice. That my buddy David got me at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I love the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Give me Mateus Morgado. I think he's shown long run pace over the last year, and I think last night really showed that he's just better once the lights come on and the temperature's cool, which of course would put him as my championship pick as well.
Yeah, very good points. Mateus has been fast. Adrian's been fast. There's, to say what the Magic Kart team has done, it's a group of guys, right? There's not a big operation. There's not a big factory. It's a group of friends, right? A family under that tent. AJ Myers, Robbie Bajoso, Andrew Bajoso that have developed that chassis on themselves. AJ Myers, when we talked to him last night, to not beat around the bush, he was pissed off about the questions we were asking him, right? The long run pace. That's all the competitors have been talking about. That's all that he's been hearing about. And I know he's not happy about it. And a mad AJ Myers to me is a fast AJ Myers, and we're going to see that later on tonight here at Trackhouse Motorplex, a track that he now calls home. I think he wins that race. I think maybe in the championship, Mateus still gets the better of him. Anything can happen, though. AJ Myers to me wins tonight.
Wouldn't that be a sight on the front straightaway? Mateus Morgado right next to AJ Myers, champ and race winner, huh?
That would be crazy, right? Shaking hands before we get into Vegas. The whole karting world, to me, I think is going to explode if that happens tonight. But there you have our picks. I have chills actually just talking about this right now. This is crazy. The engines are fired behind us.
Adrian Reneden just walked past our booth, looked at me, and went. So if that tells you anything, I don't know.
Here's the other thing too, right? Mateus Morgado, that relationship with PSL Karting and Biro Art Factory is extremely strong. He said last night, I don't care where I'm at in my life, what I'm doing. He's gotten some amazing breaks that he has excelled in this year to get behind the wheel of a race car in Brazil. He absolutely has deserved that kind of call-up and opportunity for many years now as an FI world champion, an American shifter kart champion. And he's like, dude, I'm going to race go-karts as long as I can. And I think the relationship that he's got with them, the results he's put with them, that is a very family environment. Like you said, with Magic Kart, I sat down with AJ back in January this year. He's like, I'm going to be with those guys until I'm done driving, right? Adrian Reneden, when we asked him last night about next year, he's like, I don't know, man. I don't have a contract. Our focus is on this. We're going to try and win the championship. We're going to try and win the race tonight. We're going to try and win Vegas. After that, he's a free agent again, and he'd love to be able to be back here. He said he hopes he's coming back for an American schedule again, and I have to think that he's performed enough in Velocity Racing and Sodi. Every driver, every mechanic, every coach they've got in place here at this point in the year seems to be firing on all cylinders, so why change things up? But there's something to be said about a driver that has an unknown future. Adrian even said earlier this year that the call from them revitalized his driving career. He wasn't really behind the wheel all that much. He was doing a lot of coaching. He was making a fine living over in France, but he had kind of gone through everything to go through. He'd won at the highest level, right, in the FI European Championship full season tour. And then here he is again. It's like Adrian Reneden 2.0, and he is as good as he's ever been. So that to me is what also gives me the nod, because like again, a pissed off AJ Myers, equally even talking to Mateus, right? This would be just as much relief compared to the way that Newcastle went with the other championship that he had a shot in. So all three of them definitely have something to prove. Before we wrap the Perico post or pre-race show up, we do obviously need to give our picks for OKN and OKNJ a little bit here too. So Kyle, I know you have one more thing to add on Pro Stars while we gather our thoughts for OKN and OKNJ. Or did you? No? You're good? Okay. All right, let's get over to OKNJ. OKNJ is a little bit easier to predict of what could happen. John Antonino's consistency through the year, even with the penalty from round one where he should have, where he crossed the line first and then was demoted with the pushback. He's had 3 extremely consistent, less than 60 points away from a perfect points haul race weekend. Drops factored in, that means that he could drop today. And it's not been the best weekend for Buddy Antonino in either junior category. He's basically got to be, I believe, either 4th or 3rd or better no matter what else happens. The drivers behind him, because of how good his drop score is, basically have to win the race. Cole Medeiros, Max Weiland, and as well in the championship, Nathan Dupuis. If any of the 3 of them are able to win the race, and as long as Antonino is not on the box with them and potentially outside the top 4, they can steal that championship away from him with the drops factored in, because this is assuming that they all take points from today. So that one we're just going to lay out. But OKN Stars, this one kind of splits the difference, right, of the championship. Blake Nash in the driver's seat, Caleb. He can just kind of cruise through, and it's kind of what it looked like in those motos.
Yeah, I mean, Blake was just super confident, super comfortable, and this is really one of those weekends where, you know, he's kind of walking around the paddock, right, with his chest kind of puffed up a little bit because he knows the package is good. He feels good about the kart, and I think yesterday we saw that, right? I don't think I see him falling off, you know, further back than 7th unless something goes horribly wrong. I think, to me, he wins the championship. When you talk about the race, Paulie Massimino, I think, made a statement, right? He's here to win a race, no matter, you know, what it is, what engine package is on. He's here to win, and he's going to do whatever it takes to win, and I think we saw that yesterday in the first moto.
You got any change-up of those two for yours, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of took the layup there, Caleb. I think Paulie Massimino is easily the favorite. Like I said through the entire show, he just seems confident. He seems relaxed. Like, there's no pressure. He's already won this championship. He, you know, hauled a bunch of money a couple weeks ago, and he has nothing to lose. Blake Nash has everything to lose from the lead, but he has a great path. I'll take Diego Ramos to win the race. I think he's been there in the top 3 fighting with Paulie and Blake, and I think he'll get it done. For the championship, I think it's Blake Nash. I think he has to have something catastrophic happen to not win the title. But like we said, you know, in motorsports, you don't know anything, and I think those unknowns is probably the scariest part for Blake Nash.
If it's going to play the same as the first of our 3 championships that wrapped up for Pro 125, anything could happen, right? But like you said, I've got Blake Nash as well. I think just on an odds-on favorite. I'd love to see things get a little bit exciting. I'd hate to wish that bad luck or bad voodoo on him, but I just don't think that the midfield's close enough. And in terms of the race win, yeah, Diego Ramos, you'd love to pick, right? Because if we look at this really quickly, last year, so close, felt like he was robbed, right? 1 point shy, second in the race, saw the championship in front of him for 20 straight laps. Comes back to the same state here with the Stars Series, crosses the line first, was supposed to be a Brazil lock of the senior classes, and a penalty takes it away. And you go, all right, chip on his shoulder, pissed off. He wants to win in North Carolina, hasn't done it before. It's not going to happen tonight. I think tonight Paulie's still winning the race. And unfortunately, as fast as he's been developing, I think we've got to bet on the BJR crew to continue to lock this place out. So that's who I'm going with, and that's what I'm going to wrap our Perico pre-race on.
Yeah, what a change-up. You heard the picks from us, and again, curious to hear what you guys think as well. With that being said, quick commercial break from our side. The racing action getting set to start.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I went to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all of the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
You know, I'm really starting to like this go-karting thing.
Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh, can I show you this cute dress I just got?
Yes, of course. Oh my goodness, it's so cute.
I just love shopping.
I love shopping too.
Oh my god.
Wait, did you guys say you like shopping?
Of course.
Well, dude, I have the perfect place to do that at. ShopPayCara.com. At ShopPayCara.com, you can get free shipping on orders $200 or more. You can get